to this webinar about NIOM's program for visiting scientists. As some of you may know, every year, NIOM welcomes guest researchers affiliated with Nordic universities to conduct a research day here at NIOM within the field of dental materials and other biomaterials. About 24 months in total are distributed between a number of researchers who can be both experienced professionals and in particular young scientists and PhD students, and each one's usually given between 3 and 6 months for their project. This time can be spent full-time or part-time, and some choose to move to Oslo for the whole duration, while others commute. While they're at NIOM, the guest researchers are given a salary, a main supervisor, and set up with a multidisciplinary team. Thereby, every project is a collaborative effort, in which guest researchers can learn from NIOM's experts, and we can learn from them. My name is Freya Anderson, and I work as an engineer here at NIOM. And today in this webinar, I'm going to be talking to two former and current guest researchers, Vidad and Ketil, about their experience with the Visiting Scientist program. So we're going to start with you, Ketil. To start off, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Hello, my name is Ketil Haugli and I'm 45 years old. I'm an assistant professor at the Dental Technology program at OsloMet. I'm also a PhD student at the Faculty of Health Sciences. And now I'm a part-time guest researcher here at NIOM.
So how did you even first hear about NIOM and in specific the Visiting Scientist program?
NIOM I think I first heard about many years ago actually. I think it was about in 2003 when I was a student at the Dental Technology program myself. Mm-hmm. But the Visiting Scientist program, I think I heard about 3-4 years ago. It was my supervisor at the master thesis. He tipped me about the Visiting Scientist program here at NIOM because I was thinking about possibilities to enroll at a PhD program.
So what made you decide to actually apply?
It's not my first time that I'm here. It's actually 3 times before. So I think it's just the environment here. It's suitable for me because my topic is biomaterial science. So here I think that everybody supports me and I support them. Mm-hmm.
You're in the right environment.
I think so. Mm-hmm. And as a lecturer, as you know, at the Dental Technology program, it's very important that you are updated in the latest field of research when it comes to biomaterials, so the students can actually learn what's happening in the field. So I think it's pretty important that the quality assurance of the courses that I'm responsible of to be a part of a research team. Mm.
So if we go back to that first time that you were here as a visiting scientist, what was that like? What was it like coming here? How did you find everything? Could you tell us just a little bit about that?
First of all, I think the facilities here, they are really, really great. You have all the equipment that you really need to do material research. And that's one thing. But the closeness to other institutions as well. Mm. You have the Faculty of Dentistry, Oslo Metropolitan University, where I stay, and also the National Institute of Health is also in close proximity to NIOM. So I think that might be a strength for NIOM as well, that all the institutions are gathered together for the cooperation. Mm. Mm.
Did it take a little bit of time to get familiar with things, or?
At first, it can be quite new and to find things. Mm-hmm. So, and NIOM has many scientists that has dedicated experience, you know. So, if you know which people to ask, then you might solve things. So, but now that I have been here so much, it's not a problem for me to know who to ask. But for a new visiting scientist, this can be a little bit struggling, perhaps.
Yeah, of course. I guess it always takes a little bit of time to find your footing the first time. But I guess kind of like you touched on, you could always ask your main supervisor or anyone else from the team here for a little bit of guidance. So could you tell us a little bit about what it's been like working with those people, your main supervisor and also the rest of the staff?
Yeah, my main supervisor here at NIOM is Jan Tore Samuelsen, who is a toxicologist. He's a senior scientist. We've known each other, I think, from 2013 when I did my master thesis. So we know each other pretty well. But you know, he's a busy guy as a researcher. But I think that every time when you're having want to have a professional discussion, there's always time for it. So either if it is professional or if you want to just have a cup of coffee or to have a conversation. So that I think is very nice with NIOM. It's always time to have a chat.
Yeah, that's important. I guess we've already kind of touched on that, but what about the rest of the staff here? What's it been like working with them?
Oh yeah, you know, they are so dedicated to what they do. So if you want to have, for example, in vitro studies at the biolab, there are people here dedicated for that kind of work. Or if you want to test something mechanically, you can have people, you know, people that does that too. So now that I know who to ask, it's not a problem. So things solves out here when you need the expertise.
Because you have a project that's kind of, I guess, a lot of different disciplines in your one project. Could you tell us a little bit more about your actual project that you're working on right now here at NIOM?
Yeah, I can do that. What I'm doing now is I have a project going on with resin-based dental materials. These materials are mainly intended to use as dental splints or occlusal devices. And when we assess these materials, it's actually three issues. It's the manufacturing technique, and it's the surface characteristics of the materials, and also the digital manufacturing of these materials. So this introduces different interdisciplinary fields. So in my project, I'm actually working with NIOM, the Pharmacy Institute at Oslo Metropolitan University, and the Dental Technology program as well. So that's the fun part, you know, being together with many people.
Yeah, it's great that there's so many collaborators in one project. Do you think that this way of working that you're doing here, that you've described, is something that could work for a lot of people? Is it more of a niche area?
At first, I think you hear the word dental materials, it kind of like broaden things down. But in particular here, we see it more in a broader perspective, do biomaterial science actually. So when you see the competences of the people working at NIOM, they are very dedicated to natural sciences. And you have to have an interest in natural sciences. So that's a prerequisite actually, I think, for being here. But I think it's as a visiting scientist, you get your own workspace. You can sit there by yourself and you can really get in mood to do your job. But also if you're going to work here, I think you need to fancy working with laboratory things, because we are doing, that's what we're doing here, laboratory methods actually. So if you fancy doing things like that, I think NIOM might be a good place to be.
Okay, thank you, Ketil, for giving us some insight into life as a visiting scientist here. So we're now going to go over to the second guest researcher that we're going to be talking to today, and that is Vidad. Hi, Vidad. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Happy to be with you here today, Freya.
That's great to hear. So to start off, could you give us a short introduction to you and your background?
My name is Vidad Hamoudi. I'm specialist in prosthetic dentistry with a PhD, and I work at Folktandvården Eastman Institutet, located in the heart of the beautiful Stockholm. I'm also affiliated as a researcher at Karolinska Institutet in Stockholm. And beside working clinically with patients, currently I have 4 dentists performing their postgraduate educational training and 5 master students at Karolinska Institutet. I'm also a member of a group dealing with dental biomaterials at Folktandvården, Stockholm.
It sounds like you're juggling quite a few different roles. So what made you decide to add guest researcher at NIOM into that mix?
At 2008, I attended a toxicology course at NIOM. And after that, I used to have mail contact with NIOM whenever I felt that me or my company needs to consult NIOM concerning specific dental material. And my thesis was about clinical studies, and one of them was about testing modern dental ceramics. I felt that doing clinical studies take a long time, and as the production and the development of the materials is going very fast, I just start to realize that testing these dental biomaterials in the laboratory is more realistic and safer for our patients. I applied for 6 months, and I've got 6 months period.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel that allotted time of 6 months worked for your project?
Just because of COVID-19 and all travel restrictions, I couldn't be here for 6 months at NIOM. I had a period of 3.5 months at 2021. And as I want to finish my project, I applied for a new period, and I'm now commuting between Stockholm and Oslo. I'm trying to be here 1 week in a month in order to finish my project, and this suits me very well. And the allotted time, which was 6 months, works well for my project.
That's great that you actually applied again, and also that you have the opportunity to be flexible traveling between Oslo and Stockholm. So if we go back to 2021, when you came here the first time, what was your impression of NIOM and the staff here?
I'm very happy that I've got this opportunity. I met people with different backgrounds, just like chemistry, physics, biology, and I met a well-qualified staff who covers all aspects of dental biomaterials, just like clinical dentistry, toxicology, polymer chemistry, and many other aspects. I felt myself very welcomed and at home rather soon. The environment is very calm and quiet and very suitable for research purposes.
So how was it working specifically with your main contact, and then also the rest of the team that you were working with for your project?
I've got a very nice team. They are very efficient and humble persons. They instructed me in a meticulous and detailed way, and I found that NIOM had all the necessary equipment and materials to perform my project. I'm in fact trying to analyze the effect of surface treatment on the light transmission and reflection of 2 types of contemporary multilayer translucent zirconia.
It's great to hear that you had a good experience with your team, especially seeing as I myself am a part of your team. But overall, how did you experience your stay here?
Wonderful experience. I met efficient people who are happy, and they have a very great sense of humor. And I feel, after my little experience with the laboratory studies, I can feel that I have more respect for laboratory studies. It's not too easy to do these studies, as it is difficult to mimic the clinical situation, and it's difficult to master all materials and methods.
Yes, I can agree that there are definitely challenges when working in the lab, but it sounds like you've learned a lot while you've been staying here. And do you think that what you've learned is something that is valuable and that you can take with you into your position at Folktandvården in Stockholm?
Definitely, really valuable. Just because both NIOM and Folktandvården Stockholm have the same intention to promote for patient safety. They want to ensure that the dental biomaterials that we are using in our patients are safe and effective for our patients and are safe for the environment as well. And I like the fact that NIOM is an independent institute. Then you can feel that you can get an accurate and independent data that you can trust. And I feel myself confident in asking questions for NIOM on the behalf of Folktandvården Stockholm.
And one final question, would you recommend being a guest researcher at NIOM to others?
I really advise and recommend all my colleagues who are interested in doing some laboratory research regarding dental materials to apply for the position as a visiting scientist at NIOM. And I hope that that we will have a more collaboration between Folktandvården, Karolinska Institutet and NIOM, as we are all interested in doing research that might lead to better health and better environment. And I was so happy that NIOM staff visited Stockholm and Eastman last year, in fact.
Okay, thank you so much, Sweedad, for the information and your perspectives. And thank you to those of you watching for tuning into this webinar. If you'd like to know more about NIOM and our program for guest researchers, then go to our web pages at niom.no.